So the title of this video is just clickbait. I made that to trigger people, but it very much is accurate to the topic of this conversation. And this conversation only lasted about, I'd say, less than 24 hours. But within that 24 hours, myself and Captain Solo were able to develop a lot of ideas or answer questions that previously just kind of got shelved. I told you when we have these intellectual conversations, we'll have them. If we don't have the answer, we'll just put it on the shelf and we'll come back to it later. Possibly new information will give us new insights. So the other day I watched, is it The Real Black or is it just Real Black? REELBLACK. But anyway, Real Black is I don't know the other brother's name. I'm more familiar with Charles Woods because he's the one that's mainly interviewed all the time. But Real Black is basically a pro-black channel that investigates I don't know what the term is, filmology, that investigates movies and film and depictions of black people and just basically the power of media and the way that black people have been depicted over time. They actually had a really good documentary about the Jewish community, Hollywoodism. That was very insightful. But they have a lot of documentaries over there, a lot of videos that would really give, especially a lot of young black people, more insight to the history of black people as America. I think that there's a lot of myths. There's a lot of things that I would say would be derived from a lot of your more feminist agenda, type women like your bell hooks and stuff like that. And in my opinion, you have a lot of black women, especially young black women, who just parrot these women. The Margot Jeffersons and the the bell hooks and the Alice Walkers, and that's pretty much for most young black women. That's where their idea of the black female experience starts, begins and ends. Like that. That's just how they view it. And I noticed that there's a lack of critical analysis when it comes to a lot of these things. A lot of emotional behavior. There's a lot of triggering. There's a lot of things that women will say that like they weren't even around at the time. They don't know what went down. Women who come from a long line of bitter single mothers and things like that. And so a lot of times you never really get a chance to analyze anything because it's always, surrounded by a lot of black female shaming and accusations of self-hate or whatever it may be. It's always that. And that's always been an irritant for me. So at the beginning of the documentary that I watched from Charles Woods, he had the documentary that I watched, or the video. No, this is not even a documentary. I don't know what you want to call it. But anyway, he did a video and it was called The Black Man's Kryptonite, which is basically about black men and white women, and this whole notion of gotta go out there and get a white woman. And, he quoted Eldridge Cleaver. Now, even though he quoted Eldridge Cleaver, and at the end of the video, he talked about, how, psychologically, we're affected by X, Y, and Z, and we have to change that. And I wouldn't disagree with that, but I really do feel like the quote by Eldridge Cleaver to, that he has to have a white woman in his bed. I've heard it, it's not the first time I've heard it, but I've heard it coming from black women. I've heard it quoted from, other, pro-black people and scholars and stuff like that. And they always analyze it from the standpoint of, and see, this is just a mindset and self-hate. And then they just dismiss it. They always do that. And so what I did is I said, nah, there's got to be more to this shit, right? And so looking at the quote, right? Eldridge Cleaver's quote, and I'm reading the quote in its full context because Charles Woods and the other guy didn't use it to its full context. And the quote is, every time I embrace a black woman, I'm embracing slavery. And when I put my arms around a white woman, well, I'm hugging freedom. The white man forbade me to have the white woman on pain of death. I will not be free until the day I can have a white woman in my bed. Eldridge Cleaver. Now, I know a lot of people and women got problems with Eldridge Cleaver because Eldridge Cleaver, he was a rapist. He says, a lot of things about, what he doesn't like about black women. So, the black women take issue with that and label him a misogynist and everything else, even though, there's still truth to, the attitude and all that. And, I watched an interview with James Earl Jones where he was sitting up there with a white woman and basically saying the same thing and trying to understand the context of where it comes from. But truth be told, a lot of brothers don't want to deal with that. And so there is more to the appeal of the white woman than just the media promotion, self-hate, and that's all that it is. And that's the end of it. And revisiting Eldridge Cleaver's statement, the statement that he's making here, I started thinking about like, okay, well, what is he really trying to say? What is he really saying? I remember when I first came online, Tariq Nasheed, he did, I don't know, it was some video. And I don't think he was the originator of the quote, but he said, and somebody can tell me whoever came up with the quote was, but he said that the only free people in America are white men and black women. Now, I don't think, we all know that black women are not free, but in terms of the context, of that statement, the white men and black women are the only people who are free in America. I could go into the politics and the way that black women are elevated on MSNBC. It was so funny. On a side note, I had a white guy recently who's clearly, conservative and right wing and everything. Even he recognized the elevation of black women on MSNBC and, these other platforms, and where they're really ignoring, the needs of black males. And the only reason some white men are doing that now is because when it comes to the attack on masculinity, it's the same thing. Black men have just been the canaries in the coal mine, and I explained to him, I was like, well, what usually happens to us first eventually gets around to y'all. Y'all don't see it. I could point to, gun control. Gun control was used to keep guns out of the hands of black people. And then eventually it crept over to, we got to keep guns out of the hands of white people. And that's what the white people are going up there protesting, right? But here's the interesting thing, right? Because I actually, I put on my community tab, I put the real clip of, the black man's kryptonite, which is the white woman. I put the clip, up there, and I basically shared the back and forth that Captain Solo and I had. And we had a little bit more of a back and forth. And, then the conversation stopped. And one of the things, the key things that I said in our back and forth was, that there's a sentence that white men generally, that encompasses this whole conversation, which is the white woman is the most beautiful. Going back to my, I have spoken, Quill from The Mandalorian, I have spoken, it is the way, right? That the white woman is the standard of beauty, and then followed by, and you can't have her. Right. Which goes into what Eldridge Cleaver is talking about with the, you're forbade access to the white woman. Now, Captain Solo, he focuses on the first part of the sentence. Like, who the fuck are you to dictate who is the baddest bitch? Like, who are you? Right. And Captain Solo will not choose a white woman just based on that statement. He won't choose them. He won't deal with them. Now, I asked, another black man, I said the sentence, the white woman is the most beautiful. She is the standard of beauty, and you can't have her. And I asked him what part of the sentence he focused on, and he said the you can't have her part. So while Cap is focusing on the, the white woman is the standard of beauty. And he's like, the hell she is. A lot of black men focus on that last part. You can't have her. And so I gave him something to think about in terms of that. And so he thought about it, right? And the reality is that you can't have part is what the vast majority of people, period, will focus on. And I'm about to prove it. Okay. So we went back and forth, had a little conversation about it, and we talked about things like value and rarity and exclusivity and denying people access to certain things. And, and there's a whole, the aspects about the media, the elevation of white women, the elevation of white women in class and affiliating them with wealth, and black women being affiliated with poverty, and all that shit is true. All that is true. But I'm not focused on, that's a part of the conversation, but I'm not focused on that. If I go down that route, this video is going to be longer than it needs to be. I'm focusing on this whole aspect of denied access and why that's important, right? So anyway, Cap and I, we moved away from the conversation, interesting conversation, and giving me some things to think about. And then I sent Cap a video clip of a white man in Florida who was fishing, and he had an AR-15 strapped to his back. And this is recent. This is like, within the last couple of days, this video got uploaded. And I'm very familiar with Florida gun laws and whatnot. And in Florida, you can have a CCW, which means you can conceal carry, but you can't open carry in Florida. But there's an exception. And the exception is that you can open carry in Florida as long as you're fishing. That's the only time that you can open carry. Now, a lot of people don't know the laws. Even the law enforcement don't know the laws. And just the atmosphere, mass shooters, all that stuff. You walk around in Florida, again, which is, pro Second Amendment state. You walk around in Florida and with a rifle on your back, you're going to get swarmed down on by some police. And, Cap and I, we've been getting a kick out of these white men, with these Second Amendment open carry protest videos since, forever. You know what I mean? It's always the same. I don't have to give you my ID, officer. Do you suspect me of a crime? Oh, okay then. Terry V. Ohio, officer. Why are you stopping me? No, officer, I will not comply. That is an unlawful command, officer. I will not comply. Am I being detained? Okay then, officer. Well, I guess I'm free to go. Have a nice day, officer. And they do this shit. And it's hilarious because we make jokes about it. These motherfuckers been white too long. You know what I mean? They walking around, AR-15 strapped to their back, dual wielding, Kimbo style, all this stuff, right? So they doing all this. And we're like, why are they doing this? They got the camera. They're ready to go. They are ready for the law enforcement to confront them. And they got their cameras ready because they know, like, you ain't going to gun me down live on camera. I'm not touching my firearm, officer. I'm not doing anything. Why are you stopping me? Well, in the great state of Ohio, you are able to open carry. I'm open carry. I'm a law-abiding citizen. They do all this shit, right? When it comes to the Second Amendment. And this guy in Florida, he had his fishing pole, because this is what they do in Florida. They want to open carry, and they'll carry around fishing gear while open carrying. They have no intention of fishing. Like Cap made a joke. He was like, because I said, I was like, what do you think would happen if these cops didn't show up? If they never showed up? This guy tried to do this shit 11 times and the cops never showed up. Eventually, he would probably stop. Because the whole purpose is not their fishing. Cap was like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I'd like to ask him, how many fish did you catch? How many fish did you catch? He didn't catch anything because the whole purpose is not about the fishing. Right. But see, this is how, the Second Amendment gets diluted and it dives into that whole, it gets away from the self-defense and fighting a tyrannical government. And it dives into, it's about hunting and fishing. So we have to make an exemption for that when the Second Amendment is not about hunting and fishing. But for some reason, that's an easier pill to swallow than to point out the whole idea about fighting off a tyrannical government. Right. So some people will see it as a loophole or whatever, however they want to describe it. Liberals will. They'll be like, "This is a loophole." But anyway, so the guy's, at the water. He's got his fishing pole. The cops, white cops, they come swarming down on him. This is white guy, white cops. The cops, the cop is like hiding behind a bar. Put your hands up. Da 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 da. And he's trying to be all civil. Officer, why are you have a guns pointed at me? I'm simply exercising my Second Amendment rights, right? And I want you to think about why white men feel the need to do that. Why these Second Amendment white men do. What are they trying to prove? What are they doing? Right? And that's when it hit Cap, because it didn't even hit me until I sent him the video, because I was, we clown those Second Amendment open carry protest videos, guys walking into Starbucks with AR-15 strapped to their backs. Right? But it's like, why are they doing that? Why are they really doing that? Again, it's not really about the fishing. No, the man's got the camera ready. He's ready to be engaged by law enforcement. Why is he doing that? He's doing that because if this is the law and I'm able to open carry a firearm, AR-15 strapped to my back while fishing, then you must adhere to the law. You see? They're challenging the system. Like, in other words, what is a right really if you can't exercise it? Right? Going into the whole thing about freedom. I'm about to give these white boys some serious cognitive dissonance. Because you could put the Second Amendment, the anti-vaxxers, the anti-maskers, and Eldridge Cleaver in the same category. It's in the same vein. It's the same mentality. Talk about, I'm not free until I have a white woman in my bed. And I wish Eldridge Cleaver finished the statement, because the complete statement is, I'm not free until I can have a white woman in my bed and not have a white man say shit about it or be able to do shit about it. What would be the difference between the white guy going off and doing the whole thing with the fishing pole and the Second Amendment and open carrying in Florida and everything? What's the difference between that and, let's say you had a black man, he decides, I'm gonna go to the whitest town in Mississippi, and I'm gonna have a blonde hair, blue-eyed white woman on my arm, and I'm gonna have a picnic right in the middle of some Confederate park. What is the difference? The cops come showing up and everything. These racist cops, they come showing up. You know what I mean? And the black man sitting there going, what's the problem, officer? I'm just sitting here having a glorious dinner with my white fiance. What's the problem? Am I being detained? Do you suspect me of a crime? Instead of saying Terry v. Ohio, he'll say Lovings v. Virginia, officer. Lovings v. Virginia. You see, it's the same shit, right? Is it the 1860s, officer? Right? In other words, if I'm a black man and I'm really free, and this is the part that black women hate, because there's nothing that black women can do about this, mentality. And there is an issue that I have with the mentality. But what I'm saying is I understand where Eldridge Cleaver is coming from for the first time, listening to that quote and analyzing it properly, as opposed to listening to a lot of these black feminists that run self-hate, and all that. It's just so sad, and it's just so cringe. And yeah, it is cringe. But when you get past it, when you really try to understand what he's saying, in other words, if it's a free country and racism is over, why the fuck can't I have a white woman on my arm and not have you say shit? It's no different. It's no different than the Second Amendment people or the anti-vaxxers. You got people, anti-vaxxers, it's a free country. I don't have to wear a mask. You can't vaccine mandate. Nobody gave a fuck about vaccines until, all this shit. You must get a vaccine. We're forcing you to get a vaccine. You must wear a mask. We're forcing you to get a mask. And I just made a video talking about that whole aspect of freedom. Seriously speaking, how many people went out here and bought a gun simply because the left is trying to ban it? I've said before that the left is the greatest sales people of guns ever. I mean, Barack Obama was the greatest salesman of guns ever. It's the irony of it all. We want to get more guns off of the street, but yet they put more guns on the street every time they try to pass some stinking gun control. You know what I mean? Like every time, we must have an assault weapons ban. Assault weapon sales go through the roof. Oh, we must have a large capacity magazine ban. Large capacity magazine sales go through the roof. You know what I mean? We must have, gun laws and restrictive laws like New York and New Jersey and California and Hawaii, and you can't conceal carry. Non-resident concealed carry permits go through the roof. Now, maybe this is a uniquely American attitude, but I'm saying, people don't like being told what to do. And so looking at it from that angle, it's not really an elevation of the white woman when you really look at what Eldridge Cleaver said. And I'm saying there's some funky shit that goes on in the background, on both ends. Because like I said, when white men went out here, it was like I challenged this white guy one time about it. I'm like, y'all motherfuckers kill me, man. Y'all go out there and you promote the white woman as the object of affection. She is the most beautiful woman on the planet, right? They go up there, they promote the white woman all over Hollywood, all over the movies, everything. She is the standard of beauty. You must have fair skin and light eyes and long stringy hair and all that shit, right? They go up there and promote that, and then next thing you know, they're worried because all of the others are now interested in their women. All of the non-white men are now want their women. You can't have her. Back, I say, back. And I'm like, well, why are you you're promoting her so that you can promote white supremacy or make white women feel that they're the most desired and everything, completely ignoring female nature, right? Because we all know women love thirst. They love thirst. Anytime, a white woman, feels rejected by white men, the first thing she wants to do is run over to a black. They'll love me. They'll want me. Right. And I'm saying the reason why the black man, is likely focused on her, not saying that the media and propaganda and all that shit and the beauty and everything it isn't there in the background, but it's also this shit. Looking at the Eldridge Cleaver, I'm saying for the men that have that mentality, and I do think that mentality kind of permeates the culture a little bit. I've heard examples. Here's where the negative shit comes in. I remember Cap and I, we used to joke about this. Why is it motherfuckers always got to destroy the pussy? Why does it always have to be, I'm going to destroy it and beat it up and annihilate it and eviscerate it and all this stuff? Why does it have to be destroyed? And especially if it's a white woman. I've heard on more than enough occasions about, I even heard from an old black man, yeah, man, y'all young brothers, man, y'all are dicking down these white girls, man. Yeah, y'all need, get that shit, because we couldn't do it in our day. You know what I mean? Like there's this anger, there's this resentment, there's this spite behind the whole idea of it's not even the being denied access to the white woman. She becomes a part of it because the white man made her a part of it. But then there's this aspect of it where I'm like, well, we're allowing white men to change our behavior. Like I said, if you're going to go off and build Wakanda, you can't operate on this. You got to get past that shit. But yet that whole sentiment still lingers. The whole, who are you to tell me who I can and cannot get with? Who are you to tell me? And this goes back to, a statement that a brother made saying that, if black women are his only option, he feels that he has no options. You see, and it's all of it sounds cringe. I mean, absolutely does. It's problematic, everything. You know what I mean? But it's I've heard these ideas of, when I'm fucking a white girl, I'm sticking it to the white man. You know what I mean? And to me, that's sad. That's you're not gonna, fuck your way to freedom. You're not and then there's the question of, okay, well, how can brothers feel some type of way, about that, but then they don't feel some type of way about other stuff, like the economic stuff. You're sticking it to the white man by you feel that you're, getting with his woman, but you don't feel that you're sticking it to the white man, economically in corporate America or something like that, or coming up with your own corporate America. You get what I'm saying? But the whole, and I think that a lot of it comes down to, and this is one of the exchanges that we continue to have about this whole defiling of the white woman. Now, this is something that Charles Woods brought up about defiling. What did he say? He said it was like some destruction, denigration, and something else. He calls it the 3Ds. You go back and watch. I'll put the link in the description box, but he calls it the 3Ds. And that whole thing about defiling, that a white woman, white men got to save face. If a white woman gets with a black man, she has to be made a whore. And I'm saying other races of men do this as well. The black man has been painted as, it's like they first off, with the black man is always the biggest threat to white men sexually. And the weird thing is white men created that image from Birth of a Nation, to, the way that the pornography that black men don't control. We don't control blacked.com or any of these other, interracial websites and shit like that, blacks and blondes and stuff like that. I think Howard Stern was running that shit. But anyway, there's always this idea of a black woman, a white woman being with a black man equals that she's been defiled, deflowered. The irony is white men are the ones that came up with porn. White men are the ones that market porn. White men are the ones that come up with all the nasty, shit, bukkake and all this other stuff. Actually, that's Japanese and everything. But I'm saying they've also adopted it. Like, black men are not the nastiest sexual motherfuckers in the world. But yet we are painted as the most, that we pose the greatest sexual threat to any woman. And all the other, groups of males adopt this because it's adopted white supremacy, that they embrace, But the irony is there's this, we have the hypermasculinity, the sexualization, the virilization, of the black man. Like, you have all these things at play. And black men psychologically embrace it. And other races of women psychologically embrace it. Look, I've told this story before, but I'm going to recover it. I got used in college. I got used by a white chick in college. So what happened, there was I had a friend that was on a sports team, female sports team. She had a friend that, apparently was saying, oh, she wants to mess with me and all this other stuff. So she was like, and it was like Prince propositioning me or something. Yes, and you will come to this venue at such and such a time and be prepared and and we will have drinks and we will do this and we will do that and we will have a good time. Just make sure that you are there on time, right? This is the friend negotiating this whole setup. So I was like, okay, cool. I was like, I'm gonna show up. I was like, she showed me one picture. I was like, she looks cute enough or whatever. So I go there. The bitch was actually, kind of bad. You know what I mean? Because she played a sport, and so she had the body of a chick that played a sport. So I was like, damn, she kind of built, right? So anyway, we hooked up, all that shit. And turned out the whole reason that went down was because her white boyfriend had cheated on her or something like that. And this is what women do. Whenever women want to get back at especially white women or even Muslim women, quiet as a kept, let some of these brothers tell you about these Muslim women on these college campuses. They want to get back at their men. They always rebel sexually. And so, you have this whole aspect of, black men thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out here and defile this white woman. In other words, society doesn't value me as a black man. And so therefore, if the white woman is the prize, I'm going to, rub my nigger cooties on her and devalue her and then toss her back to the white man. That's not true valuing of the white woman. To black women, it's going to look that way because, y'all see the brothers with the white women and, that's what y'all think. Not saying that colorism and self-hate and shit doesn't exist. But a lot of times, a lot of what you all think you are seeing is not what you're actually seeing. What the heck is that? Hold on a second. Anyway, yeah. So, a lot of what people think they're seeing is not actually what, they're seeing. So anyway, her and I, we hooked up and, she just had to let it get back to, her boyfriend, her ex or whatever. Yes, and I was with a black man, and he just did awful, terrible things to me, and he just completely turned me out and satisfied me 1,000 times more than you ever could because he had a 10-inch phallus, like all this bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, again, going back to these birth of a nation concepts, and again, you see the background. I use these comic books or whatever the hell they were that black men did not create. There's always been this idea of, protecting the white woman's chastity and the white woman's purity and all this other stuff. And you must protect her from the savage beast of the black, But then there's like this fantasy. I mean, we all know about cuckolding. Cuckolding is where you get the white guys that like to see a black guy fuck their woman in front of them. And then there's like the whole power dynamic because, like, could a black man really do that? We'd have a white man fuck his woman and then he's in the background and he's paying her. Like, how does, like, the whole power dynamic is all screwed up. This is one of the reasons why, a black woman getting with a white man is not a statement of rebellion. It's not, because the black woman has never been, the white man has never been denied access to the black woman. There's no black posse of black men. There's no black hierarchy that's backed by law enforcement where there's some white man's going to be hanging from a tree because he was dealing with a black woman. Not to say that there's never been a case of where a black woman being with a white man didn't cause the death of both of them resulting from a group of black men. That has happened before. But backed by law enforcement, sanctioned by the government and the Ku Klux Klan and that whole dynamic of white supremacy, no, that has never happened. You never seen a picture of black people, in a, surrounding, a swinging white body in a tree and everybody's sitting around taking photos like it's the goddamn circus. You've never seen that. That has not transpired. That has not taken place. White men have never walked around with the fear, other than coming from their own, that if they were with a black woman, that there was the fear of death. You know what I'm saying? The whole Lovings versus Virginia, that was based off of a white man getting with a black woman and the law enforcement came. OK, but they didn't kill him. It was, if that was a black man with a white woman, he would have been dead. They just, give him a ticket, give him a summons. Virginia does not subscribe to miscegenation. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, Mr. Lovings, he died in a car accident years later. But and I don't know how we can get past all this, like with the context of American history and whatnot. The attitude is, I am not free until I can have a white woman on my arm and a white man not say shit or be able to do shit. It's kind of like, how white people love to quote freaking Morgan Freeman. Well, how do we get rid of racism? Oh, just stop talking about it. And I got to say the same thing to the left when it comes to gun control. How do we reduce gun violence? Just stop talking about gun control. And you'll reduce the amount of guns that possibly get stolen because law-abiding people feel the need to go out there and buy more guns because they feel that next month they won't be able to. And the same thing applies to, white men when the white nationalists, they feel some type of way. All these black men want our white women. OK, well, motherfuckers, stop talking about them. Stop elevating them. Stop following up, because it's a power move, right? Our white women are beautiful and you want us because you have inferior black genes, but you can't have her. Stop throwing on the you can't have her part. You know what I'm saying? It's like reverse psychology. It's like stop saying what somebody can't have, and I guarantee you they'll freaking stop doing it. If there was no mask mandate, hey, you want to get the vaccine? You don't want to get the vaccine? There would probably be more people who actually would get the vaccine, or probably more people who, hey, you want to wear a mask? You don't want to wear a mask? There'd probably be more people who would say, hey, I want to wear a mask because I got elderly parents or something like that. But when you start saying you have to do this or you can't do that, man, there's people that, man, they will just out of spite, they will do that shit. They'll sit there and they'll just do the opposite. That doesn't mean that they it's like, again, nobody had any particular issue with vaccines other than the people that this causes autism, other than those nutbags prior to. But I'm saying nobody really was bucking vaccines until recently. It wasn't a topic of conversation. And I mean, I mean, those are the best examples that I could give. Second Amendment, anti-maskers, anti-vaccines. You start telling people what they can't do, and they'll just react out of spite. What you mean I can't? Who the fuck are you? It's a free country. This is America. And the irony is like, I guess in a twisted, warped way that a black man having a white woman on his arm is one of the most American things, that can be done. But I mean, like when you look at it, it's like when you're talking about building up a black community and elevating, black women and fixing, some of these problems that like, in other words, the black man is constantly reacting to white supremacy, as opposed to, like, in other words, and this goes back to what Mike Tyson said. One of the clips I saw about Mike Tyson, about him talking about, he was doing an interview with some brother, and he was like, nah, you let them change you. He's like, now they're in control because you change their behavior based on what they did. And that's something that black men are going to have to soul search and recognize when it comes to, again, Eldridge Cleaver's statement for the brothers that, mileage may vary to whatever degree, are out here fooling with white women in part due to that. I wouldn't even say that's never the whole reason. None of this stuff is the whole reason. As people like to say, multiple things can be true at the same time. You know what I mean? It's like, like example, the idea, like when we talk about black women and obesity, the idea that a lot of white women are generally more fit. It's like, okay, that becomes a factor. The idea that they're more cooperative, that becomes a factor, or more feminine, that becomes a factor, and then the whole, I dare a white man to say anything to me, that becomes a factor. So there's all these factors. And again, things like what the white man is doing, again, black women are really going to feel some type of way, because that's not you reacting to what a white man did or didn't do, or is or isn't telling you what you can or cannot do. That's not something there's nothing she can do if you're that focused on what a white man did and you're out here operating to spite or in spite of, or whatever, however you want to say it, white men. There's nothing a black woman can do at that point, to correct or whatever you want to talk about her behavior or whatever. There's nothing she can do if you're that focused on that issue. So like it, to me, like, I'm like, this is a problem. Like it's something that needs to be, which is why I'm making this video. It needs to be recognized. If you can recognize it, then you can be like, wait, hold on, wait a minute. What the fuck am I doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can see it, then you can decide, which way you want to go about it. There may be some people who be like, nah, man, fuck that shit. I'm not free until I can go out here and date Becky and nobody says shit to me. I get it. I get it. It's like how Cap ended off. He's like, I get it and I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it and I don't get it. Because no matter what, it's going to look like, even if you're sitting there, you're defiling the shit out of that white girl. And quiet as it's kept, maybe she wants to be defiled. Maybe she's got problems with white patriarchy. Maybe she's got, attitude problems with the way that white men go down. Like I told you about a lot of these white liberal females that are low key feminist and whatnot. They try to get all buddy with the black men and shit like that. And like, yes, and we must end white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. And it's like, wait a minute, chick. Like, yo, my community is broken because of the shit that the white boys did. I'm trying to reclaim my manhood over here. Don't be coming over here trying to fuck with me because, you recognize I got less power than the white man that's got all the power of the structure and everything that you're trying to run away. Bitch, get the fuck out of here. Like as though I'm going to operate as less of a man. And that's why you're over here in my face. I've warned brothers about that, about being very careful when going out here and dealing with a lot of these white women. I had a brother, I told that shit one time, he was fucking with, I was like, man, don't fuck with that bitch, man. because like she had all these feminist ideas and everything, and oh, he was just so happy to have this white woman on his arm. And when she was done with him, she was done with him, and she dismissed him. And he came up to me one day, and I'll never forget. He came up to me and he was like, "Man, you were right, man." He's like, "Man, I just feel like so." I was like, "Yeah, feel used, don't you?" Yeah, man, because she wasn't fucking with you because she respected you and all this other shit. No, she was fucking with you because first off, a lot of these white men ain't gonna fuck with her because of the shit that she talks. And I'm like, and you got caught up in her whiteness to the point that you overlooked her bullshit. I'm like, nah, motherfucker. If I got a problem with black feminists, I got a problem with white feminists too. Fuck that. And he missed out. He missed it. He missed it. He was like, yeah, she's licking my balls. What do I care? I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? But then when she was like, I'm done with you. I'm bored. You know what I mean? Then I'm like, then you sitting there feeling some type of way. So and that shit like that might contribute to why you'll see like a black man and sort of Othello type of situations, and the white girl gets killed or something like that, because, I don't care whether a black woman does it or a white woman does it. That shit is not a good feeling, when a woman just, I'm done with you, just you ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? And especially coming from a white woman with the reinforcement of the historical context of that shit. Oh, please, that may make a black man snap. Oh, at the end of the movie, yes, he has to die. But, she coming with him. You know what I mean? That type of bullshit. So, the whole history of the black man, white woman relationship, I mean, it is like the quote that, I first heard from Tariq Nasheed over 10 years ago, the black man and the white woman are the least, free in this country. They are not free to move about. The white woman is the facilitator of the white man's infrastructure. The white man cannot have white supremacy without the white woman. Okay. And the black man, was threatened, with death upon even touching or interacting with him. I mean, Emmett Till got killed because of the supposed whistling at a white woman, and which the freaking white woman that claimed he whistled at, she on her deathbed admitted that the whole thing was made up. However brothers interpret that is all different type of ways, man. Some guys are like, man, nah, fuck that, man. I'm gonna defile every white woman I can freaking defile. Because that's to them, that's the get back. Because they know how white men feel about that shit after, they find out a white woman has been with a black man. They don't like that shit. But quiet as kept, most men don't like that shit. They don't like the idea of their women, other men, because they know how men are. You know what I mean? They know a man can go in there and, fuck a woman while she's thinking it's love. They can go in there and fuck the shit out of her, fuck her in the nose and the ears, in the nostrils and all type of shit, and not think anything of it. They can go in there and they can get with a woman and totally disrespect it and, think about, how much they're disrespecting the other man of another race by fucking his woman. That has always been a thing. I don't know why it's a thing. I mean, that shit even happens internally, intra-racially. You know what I mean? Like, look at songs and rap songs and shit. Yeah, man, nigga, I fucked your bitch. I fucked your bitch while you kissing her in the mouth, nigga. Me and my whole crew. It's always some we smutted out your girl, da 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 da. So therefore, to me, it's like the equivalent of like a dude slashing another dude's tires or something. Like, instead of confronting him directly, yeah, nigga, I keyed your car. What type of bitch ass shit is that? That's why I'm saying, like, the whole, I get it and I don't get it. I get it. Yeah, white racism, white supremacy. The white man was running up in the slave quarters, running up in black women, and black men couldn't do anything about it. I get it. So now it's 2021, or let's say after 1970 all the way up to 2021, and black men are like, I got access to white women. Like, even I watched a clip with Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali during the interview said, well, shit, we could have your women. We could, that ain't nothing now. He was up there like, we could have them and y'all ain't going to do shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, Cassius Clay can say some shit like that. You know what I mean? Because who's gonna go up there and fight Muhammad Ali? They already know, like, shit, you the heavyweight champion of the world. Like, I mean, and that, see, that goes into the whole thing when you got some size on you and everything, but ain't nobody bulletproof, right? But when you got some physique to you, you can be a little bit more cocky and arrogant about it. But I'm saying, you got black men today that, they feel like, well, shit, we didn't have access. So yeah, we're gonna be smutting these white bitches out. And quiet as is kept, there's a lot of white women, they want to be smutted out. Especially with, again, the whole way that black men have been painted with the hyper masculinity and all that shit. And then you got all this beta maleness that's permeating both communities, if you ask me. Because I've made jokes about it that the only masculine men in the next 10 years that are going to be or exist are going to be ex-Marines, white boy bikers, and black male street thugs. That's it. That's where women are going to get their masculinity from, in those three areas. Outside of that, every dude out here is going to be beta because of all the LGBT leftist, bullshit. And, men need to be more sensitive, and that we need to end toxic masculinity and all this other stuff, But then again, I mean, think about it. I mean, how much more toxic can you get than men running around, acting like, women are nothing more than objects to be flaunted in each other's faces, as some sort of I got you, as opposed to confronting the person directly, right? But it's just something to think about, because that Eldridge Cleaver statement, let me read the quote again before my phone dies. Every time I embrace a black woman, I'm embracing slavery. Again, going back to the statement, if black women are my only option, then I don't have a choice. And when I put my arms, or I feel like I don't have a choice, and when I put my arms around a white woman, well, I'm hugging freedom. The white man forbade me to have the white woman on pain of death. I will not be free until the day I can have a white woman in my bed. I mean, if that doesn't sound like some, I'm going to walk into Starbucks with my AR-15 and dare somebody to say something to me, or, I'm going to go in this restaurant and I'm not wearing a mask. They tell me I'm going to wear a mask. I'm going to wear it on my forehead. Like that picture of that white woman with the mask. It says fascist muzzle on it. And I'm like, really, for real, fascist muzzle. But, again, that's how, some people respond to shit like that. You start talking about, what they can and cannot do. If it's a free country, motherfucker, I should be able to go out here and do what I want to do. I should be able to be with whoever I want to be with and not have you say shit. And what's so funny is once the person accomplishes that goal, this is the irony of the whole reverse psychology thing. Like you get the white nationalists, they get all upset about black men being with white women and all this other shit. I'm like, man, if white supremacy wasn't doing what white supremacy does, I strongly believe that a lot of this shit that you see go like this, the Eldridge Cleaver wouldn't even be making a statement like that. Think about it. If there was no white supremacy, if all the shit that Eldridge Cleaver grew up experiencing and everything else with white supremacy, and if none of that shit exists, would there even be a reason for Eldridge Cleaver to make a statement like that? No, there wouldn't be. You know what I mean? If the left wasn't coming off and gun control, do you really think that these people that are running into Starbucks with AR-15 strapped to their back and everything else, do you honestly believe that they would be doing that shit? I remember there was a guy, what did he walking in? He was getting like donuts with a bazooka strapped to his back. That didn't happen until after Sandy Hook and all the we need gun control shit. Nobody was doing that before. You see, so again, it's a response to the government. It's a response to the left. It's a response to what's being done. You know what I mean? But it's like, okay, as a black man, how much are you going to let what white men, put out there, what they try to dictate, control you? You know, and even Cap had to question how much he let that control him. Now, one of the reasons why he doesn't fuck with white women is because there was one white woman that was dating his cousin, and the white woman said that she felt that she was better, that white women were a better choice for black men. And Cap does not tolerate any level of arrogance. And with that statement being made, he was done with white women. You know, and there was another white woman who made a statement to his aunt saying, we can have the best of yours, but you can't have the best of ours. He was done with white women, you know, from that point forward. But further reinforcing that is this idea that the white man comes in the room, says the white woman is the most beautiful, I have spoken, and then walks out the room. Cap focuses on that statement. But a lot of other brothers focus on the you can't have her. And they make it a point to demonstrate, oh, I can have her and I'm going to smut her out. And when I'm done smutting her out, I'm going to send her back to you. And you're going to marry her and you're going to be kissing her all up on the mouth and all that other shit. And you're going to be, when you kiss her in the mouth, I want you to taste the sweatiness from my black nigger balls. Right. And there's black men that look at it like that. You know, because, again, that whole power dynamic, you know, is different. A black woman getting with a white man is not an act of defiance. A white man getting with a black woman, you know, is not an act of defiance. Not to the same magnitude. You know, because if, you know, white woman, she get with a black man, oh man, they throwing her under the bus. You know, a black man gets with a white woman, you know, oh, that nigga gotta die. You know, going back to Charles Woods and the way that they depict it in all these movies, you know, the tragedy, you know, the tragic death, you know, because their love can never be. You know, I'm saying even if it is genuine love and you know, they're actually, you know, together in a mature manner. Because honestly, I don't see how you could develop a healthy relationship with a white woman, or how a white woman can develop a healthy relationship with a black man with all this noise in the background. You know, all this white woman can't develop a healthy relationship with a black man if she's getting with a black man out of spite of the white man's patriarchy, no more than a black man can develop a loving relationship with getting with a white woman out of spite of white men saying that he can't have her. You know, so it's just some shit to think about. But I thought this was worth sharing, you know, my ideas. You know, you disagree, you can feel free to disagree, write what you want in the comment section. But it's just some shit to think about. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's my video. SWP out.